What if the most disturbing hauntings aren't about jump scares, but about the profound tragedies echoing into the very walls of time?
Hello. Tonight on Magic Journey podcast, we're going to be bypassing the sensational and walking straight into the truly profound with my friend Austin Lawrence. So, um, first of all, let me tell you, Austin is a visionary behind the Dead Chronicles, and he is the person to ask about the question: how do you go about doing the paranormal investigation with respect to those who have passed on? And how do we go about investigating the paranormal and the thin veil between worlds and still be able to do it with integrity and not so many jump scares? How about that? Because we have a lot of that going on, right? So we're going to dig in. We're going to do some raw emotional unpacking to a sense when it comes to this, because it is a heavy subject. And tonight, two of the things that you're going to learn before we get out of here is how to do investigation respectfully and ethically, and what's the difference between genuine paranormal evidence and wishful thinking. So you guys, do me a favor, in the comments below, get ready to ask the one question that you would be wanting to ask a paranormal investigator, because tonight we are getting ready to do this and find out. Hey.
What's happening?
Hi, dude. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. This is like the first time we've talked in like 6 months, I feel like.
It's been a minute. We've been doing a lot of extra work lately on both of our parts.
Right.
So, you are really picking up on the Dead Chronicles. It's a big deal. The first unofficial season you posted on YouTube.
Right. Yeah. The pilot season. It was not up to the standards that it needed to be because of various reasons that were outside of my control, which is good because now we had the vision and everything to go with the first season. And it's quite a bit different, but quite a bit the same.
Right. And that's the thing, is like well, you know what? Let's just get to that first question, and I'll explain a lot to them. So here's what I want to know first and foremost. What was that moment that led the Dead Chronicles to become more than just a paranormal idea to you?
Yeah, I kind of always had the idea for the Dead Chronicles, I guess you could say. Because starting out, the paranormal field was awesome. I loved it. Then television came about and certain shows came about, and then it became less genuine. It became more, like you said in the intro, about jump scares, about everything's demonic, and things like that. And that's when I kind of pumped my brakes a little bit, because to make it, you had to be those people, so to speak, at that point in time. So there were a couple of things that happened. There was a location not too far from me that I absolutely love. Been there 50 sometimes, obsessed with this place, and eventually they had to stop allowing filming because one of those YouTubers went there and called it the Demon House and all this stuff. And I started seeing all these historical places kind of being torn down, not physically, but as far as like historical facts go, torn down by a lot of these different paranormal creators. But it really wasn't until I very first visited the asylum in Randolph County and heard the story of this woman who had neurosyphilis, and it was a bad thing, and she ended up committing suicide, unfortunately, because she didn't see a way out. And then it didn't vibe with me well, especially back then, because she ended up hanging herself with the usage of a broom that was fed through some exposed pipes. And I remember the first time I was there, the guy who was giving us the tour, he put the broom up on the exposed pipes, and I was like, I want to throw up. I'm like, this is, and he was laughing about it. I'm like, oh my God. And then visiting there more and more and more, you start hearing these people talk about, oh, this crazy woman, she's going to attack you. She's going to do this. She's going to do that. And I'm like, why are we drawing this narrative based on this tragedy that happened? And after I left the first time, I swore to never return. But I had some weird things that started happening. For example, the first time that I went there, it was to film, and I went outside to get something. I forget I had to go get batteries, I think. And I went out to my car, and my trunk was wide open. I'm like, that's weird. This never happened before. So I shut my trunk. I sit down in my car, and I'm ready to leave. And I'm like, man, like my headspace, I don't know where I was at, but I was like, oh, wow, that was a long night. I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to go home. And I started my car, and I looked over, and I saw my buddy's car still there. I'm like, what is he doing? So I go back inside. I'm like, hey, they're like, did you get the batteries? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, we're just getting ready to start filming. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like I totally lost time and space. And I was like, oh, the trunk to my car was open. And that's weird. So the reason why I say that is because multiple times I realized if I started talking about the asylum, even if I was driving down the road, I don't know what it was, the trunk to my car would open. It had never happened prior to that, but I kind of was like, okay, the keys were in my pocket. Maybe somehow I hit the trunk button and it somehow, even though I was far away. So that was weird. And then there was one day where I was walking into work, and there was an old, and I work at the biggest kind of manufacturer here in my town, so they keep everything up and nice and stuff like that. And there was this really old wooden broom hanging from a tree. I was like, what? Okay, that's really strange. And so a lot of things led me back to that place. There were times where I went to other locations, and it took me right by there, completely out of the way. So I ended up eventually going back. And the one night that really struck me was when I was there. There was a group getting ready to do an investigation. I was there with a quote-unquote psychic medium. And she was telling me all this BS about, whatever. And so I got mad, and I was like, I'm either going to fight a 70-year-old woman or I'm going to go into the other room. So I went into the other room and sat down. I was reading a book, and I just instantly out of nowhere just got really sad. And, my eyes were watering. I'm like, what's going on? And then I remember the door to the basement, which is where this woman stayed before she took her life, opened and closed. And I didn't think much of it. I'm like, okay, Lydia's there giving a tour. They might be coming up that way, although they never go that route, whatever. And then out of nowhere, I see this figure walk into the room and just stand there, just looking at me. And it was just kind of like an unspoken understanding, like, okay, I have to do something about this. And I have to kind of, right some wrongs here. It was almost like a plea is what it felt like to me. And so that's when I was like, okay, I need to figure out, because no one knew anything about her or anything like that. I was like, I need to go back and try to retell her story and revive her story. And that's where the Dead Chronicles came from, the stories that died along with her. And now they've been construed into, a bunch of lies for clicks, and how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And you did a really great video, kind of, I guess it was a precursor, or what am I looking for? A trailer to that particular series or that particular episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. Like I literally just booed watching that. So yeah, I feel like that episode really just kind of like not only kind of nailed the Dead Chronicles into position that it's in now, but I think it really kind of helped to inspire some of us, to do better.
Mm. Yeah, and that's a big thing. And we can get into talking about all kinds of things. One of the big things where going out there and learning about these people and these places and stuff like that, it really makes you want to do better, and that's why I like to share these stories. A big one, we filmed an episode in Kentucky that ended up getting scrapped from this because we're going back. We just booked it to do a full documentary instead because the story is so powerful. And one of the things that really hit me and kind of told me like do better, especially we're in this crazy political climate right now where everyone likes to argue about everything, and if you're this, then we don't like you type of thing. But the long story short is that there was this union doctor who just happened, he fell into it essentially. He was a retired doctor, ended up becoming a union doctor during either the bloodiest hour or bloodiest day in the Civil War. That's kind of disputed. But after the Confederate doctor died, he ended up taking in the Confederate soldiers and treating them as well. And there was actually a Confederate doctor who he helped, and after he passed away, he put out an autobiography, which is absolutely incredible. He talked about seeing all the Confederate soldiers being thrown into holes like hogs. They actually had the deaf school come out, and there were kids throwing these soldiers into these giant holes. And he said, I can't imagine, he was so disgusted by it to where he took this Confederate doctor and he buried him in his cemetery plot, his family plot, right next to him. So here we have two people who totally opposed each other, were literally at war with each other, but yet he cared enough. He didn't want to see him in a hole and forgotten, so he gave him a plot right next to him. And so stories like that I feel like are extremely important, that we can all learn from and tell us all we all need to do better.
Right. That's the thing that really kind of, I've watched you like up close and personal in what you do. Now I've had that experience, and thank you for that, because that was valuable learning experience.
Oh, it was great.
Here's another thing though. I gotta know, dude, how do you decide what locations that you're going to be working at?
Yeah, usually the locations just kind of come to me. At least that's the way it feels. But really, as long as there is a story there, I'm there. I don't care about the claims. I don't care about the hauntings. I don't care about any of that. That's something that I'll figure out for myself if I do. But a lot of these places have a story to be told. And that's the most important part, is, once again, bringing back these stories that have died away, because there's so much we can learn from them.
That is very true. Now, I think I know maybe part of the answer to this next question, but I really want to find out. Have you ever walked into a place and immediately felt you shouldn't be there?
That is a good question. And that's tricky, because the places, if I walk into a place and I'm like, I shouldn't be here, I know I should be there, if that makes sense. Like, so I've really never had quite that problem. I've walked into places where I felt very uncomfortable. I've walked into places where it's like, you should probably leave, but I know that those are the places that I need to be in,
Right. That's definitely, I really understand that perfectly, especially after watching you.
Right. But on the other hand, we have places like you went to the jail with us. That was a place where I felt like I should be, because I shouldn't be allowed in that place. It's incredible.
That's what I was kind of expecting you would say before.
Yeah.
And at some point, I really want to go back there and explore the one thing, and I really don't want to give away what we were talking about, but there's one thing about that area that really, really struck me.
Yeah.
And I want to get to the bottom what that is.
Hey, I'm down. I'm always down to go out there. I love that place. I love the museum. Get to hang out with Billy. I'm down.
Oh, I know. Billy is awesome.
Yeah, he is.
I love his passion. I really do.
Oh, seriously. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, if that is what, and this next question is going to lead me to where I really wanted to arrive at when it comes to showing some of your handiwork, some of the stuff that you've been able to find and see firsthand. But so what kind of evidence do you trust the most, and what do you remain skeptical of?
I remain skeptical of everything. There is no one form of evidence that I think is, well, I mean, to a degree, there's no one form of evidence I trust more than the other. Of course, it depends on the location, contamination, and stuff like that. Maybe you trust audio less because you have a busy road and stuff like that. But the big thing for me that you'll kind of see us implement a bit during this season that we're going to be doing more going on is not just trying to capture evidence on audio and stuff like that, but a very important thing that's kind of untapped. People like Haunted Discoveries are out there doing it, but not many people, is really nailing down the environmental factors. So now we are measuring the barometric pressure, the humidity, I mean, temperature, everything at all times on a line graph. And we are seeing, if we get some form of evidence, what happens to this line graph that we're watching. Is there a spike? Is there a dip? Is there no change at all? What's going on there? Because that might help us better understand what's going on. And plus, that adds credibility. If you capture something over here and all of a sudden you see barometric pressure shoots up, you know something happened right there. And it's not something natural, you know?
Right. Well, and if you have those readings ahead of time, you can also rule out things like, you know, if doors opening on their own,
exactly.
You know,
the pressure dropping or raising, and
exactly. That sort of thing. So it's always really good to have those things. And a lot of people don't understand how much science goes into real paranormal research.
Oh yeah. I love science, and I'm trying to put more and more into it. So
right. So that's the thing. You know, I love my cat balls, but not everything that makes those things go off is legitimately paranormal. So having the data, having the things that you can say, hey, this happened and we got this result when it happened. You know, if across the board, if you have several different locations where several different investigators are having the same information, then you know that there's something consistent with that activity.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Then maybe we can figure out, okay, if we all experience this thing, you know, when this certain thing happens, what does that tell us? You know, everyone's been saying for the beginning of time that, you know, temperature drops, spirits drawing energy around them. Have we ever really put that on a spreadsheet and say, okay, we capture this EVP and the temperature dropped 10 degrees? Why are we not doing this?
You know, I've wondered that for a very long time. And, you know, again, you know, I think, and I can't really say a lot about, obviously, the pioneers, you know, what they really wound up doing with what was over with, because they may have logged some of that information. We just don't know.
Right.
And unfortunately, with some of the transactions that's happened with, you know, properties and so forth, we may never know.
Exactly.
You know, so I want, since we had the whole conversation on evidence, I want to share some of the stuff that you have been nice enough to share with me.
All right, let's do it.
And I got to tell you, the first thing, and I had this conversation with our friends um, from Shady Bend about the ghost
Oh
cat,
yeah.
and I've had people tell me before that they've had, like, I have an aunt who, we call her the crazy aunt for a reason, but
We've all got one.
she had a ferret at one time. The ferret expired, and her cat kept playing with something in the hallway, just like he used to
Oh
play with the ferret,
yeah.
just exactly like they used to play together. And she
Uh-huh.
swore to me that the cat was still playing with her deceased ferret.
Yeah.
And until recently, until the stuff that I keep seeing, I always thought she was just bat crazy.
Right.
But then this happened, and
Mhm.
maybe you can tell us about this after we see this. What the heck is that?
Yeah, so that was really, really cool. So that was at the old Crown Point Jail, in Indiana, and it sounds like a dog. And this is one of those cool things where later we kind of put pieces together, because we initially went and we took a daytime tour, just to try to get some B-roll and stuff like that. And I remember when we went on the tour, we were down in like the trustees section, and our guide said, look at the ground, and they found these paw prints like embedded in the concrete down there, and they're like, we don't know if it was a dog or what. And so this is obviously on the jailer side, because at least in Indiana, I don't know about everywhere else, it was a state law that the jailer had to live at the jail.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the jailer's residence, and then you had the jail itself. So I can tell you there were no dogs there. It sounds like a dog. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, and I believe I think I've got, so I think there's another one that is in here that also has a little bit of the same sound. This may be the one. Oh, that's the hay one. That one was crazy as it was.
Yeah.
I think I actually put that one in there twice. No wonder. I had to go back and reload these, because I didn't realize if I went out of the
Right.
studio, it would drop the things. I just assumed they stayed in here. So this one, though, let's come back and replay that. When I first played that, I was like, that sounds like a creeper to me.
right. Absolutely. And I mean, it's right outside the bedroom, so that whole hallway, you got bedrooms on both sides, so it kind of sounds like someone just kind of like sneaking around, like trying not to wake anyone up, talking to someone in bed, like, hey.
Yeah. But then, you know what? Maybe this is a different one. I want to see this. We may be seeing this twice, or maybe the other.
We'll find out.
Two laughing ones.
Yeah.
Well, what the heck was that?
So it sounds like someone laughing and then someone saying, hey, on top of it.
So let's play devil's advocate for a minute.
Yep.
If I did not know you, and you were on my show for the first time,
mm-hmm.
and you sent me these clips, and I looked at you and go, how do I know this is not something that somebody's doing off in the background?
Right.
Because there are people thinking that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would be your response?
My response would be, wonderful question. I'm so glad that there are people out there who question this stuff and who try to, get to the bottom of it. So number one, I give them massive kudos. I'm not one of those people who gets all upset, like, oh, you're trying to say that I'm lying about. No, like I literally invite debunkers to take my stuff and tear it apart. But with that said, I can tell you that it's just me and another woman in that place. It doesn't sound like me. I know it's not me because we have those cameras with the timestamps. And if I find something like that, I find out where we're at and I match up the timestamps. If I'm anywhere near there, even if it doesn't sound like me, it gets thrown out. So I can tell you we were nowhere near there. There was no one there. We locked the doors. So, hey.
And going back to the whole thing too, and thank you for that, because that's one of those things that I think we as researchers and investigators need to learn to put on our big point pants and learn to appreciate when somebody wants to challenge us, because it gives us an opportunity, to either produce the evidence that we need, to say this is what we found in this, or it gives people the opportunity to be able to go back and look at further if they really are serious about wanting to know. Look deeper into our work to see what they can find or what they can say.
Yeah, I agree, and I will never come out and say this is this. Like even there, I say it sounds like, it seems like. I don't know what the hell any of this stuff is. I'm not going to tell you what it is. That's up for people to form their own opinions. It's not on me. So, right. I mean, people can challenge me all day. I love it.
Right. Pam has asked a really good question, and so here's the thing with this question. Some paranormal researchers, like years ago, used to use Geiger counters a lot.
Yep, absolutely.
And some of us that are old school still have. I have one on my list to get soon, to be honest with you. But Pam asked the question, like in the cryptid field, there's concern about being exposed to radiation. Is there a concern in the paranormal field for that?
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a concern, but like you said, people used to use Geiger counters and stuff like that, and they have documented changes and increased radiation and stuff like that. I actually saw, one really cool thing that going back to Haunted Discoveries, because they're just pioneers in a lot of stuff, what they did is they actually somehow, they're at a location out in the middle of Kentucky, and they literally pumped energy into the ground. Like they had wires and stakes going into the ground, and they filled it with energy. And they were measuring, a change in radiation, stuff like that. So changes in radiation is definitely a thing. The only time it's really a concern is that some of these places where people think that their homes are haunted, they could have high levels of radon. They could have high electromagnetic fields and stuff like that. And there could be nothing really going on, but those things cause hallucinations, nausea, all those types of things. So there is a concern there as far as like natural radiation, stuff like that goes. But as far as the paranormal goes, I've never heard of, anything being much of a concern.
Right. Now, I will say this. There is a theory among some of us that do research and investigation in the paranormal of the portal theory.
Yeah. Yep.
And in particular, there's something that some of us refer to as, God, all of a sudden I forgot the name of it now, where the ripple effect.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Where that starts, and then, seemingly there's something that happens,
right,
where the entities come through there. So
right.
Now, I do know that there are people who have said, and again, this goes back to us trying to accumulate the data and go with it, try to figure it out. I know there have been some researchers that have gone on investigations, and they're like, "Hey, um, there was a strong tick all of a sudden in the Geiger counter when this
Hmm.
happened." Now, could this relate to contamination? I don't know. Probably not. Probably not,
Right.
because there's a natural amount of radiation in the air anyway.
Right.
And so with that, are they using that to help form a portal, the natural stuff
Hmm.
that's already around us? Maybe. We don't know yet. We just don't know. Um, this next clip that I want to share, I, I found very interesting because it kind of, in a way, felt almost like a residue experience to me. But only because of when you hear it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Only because it sounded more like a transmission than anything else, I thought. And I'll let you guys judge for yourself. It's a very good clip, though. Let's go back and I want to see it. It almost sounded like it was a transmission to me in a way.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. That so that was at the Monroe House.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because to me it sounds like someone a man saying we've been waiting on you. And that is a place that I had talked about going for years and years and years and never went. And I only went because of happenstance, basically. Um, because locations we had booked just randomly canceled on us last second, and we had to scramble to find locations, and Monroe House just happened to be open. Um, we captured a few really interesting things there that kind of say that they knew who we were. You know.
Right. And see, this is the thing too about, I've had people tell me before that they felt like some of the situations that they ran into, that the entities, it was almost as if that whatever was there knew them.
Right.
Which I veer away from talking about that a whole lot, because
Mm-hmm.
then that gets in the whole idea of everything being dynamic and da 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 and yada yada. We Okay, let me verify something, guys. I am a believer. I'm thoroughly a believer when it comes to my faith, but and I understand that biblically you can argue for the fact that that according to some interpretations, that
Mm-hmm.
once you pass, there is no memory, there is no activity until a certain
Right.
point. I get that. I understand that. Um, However, this last clip that we're going to play toward the end of the show, I'm saving this to last, so you guys are going to watch this all the way through. If it kills me, I'm going to find a way to keep y'all. This last clip, you're not going to miss. And for those of you who are watching like at a later date, I'm probably going to go back and do a different intro to keep, because I totally jacked that first one up, and I'm aware of that. But
It happens. We're alive, baby.
right. So in to the future selves that are out there watching, when we get to this intro in the final stage here, you're going to know that the last clip of the night you're not going to want to miss. Just going to say that now. Anyway, so EVPs, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we've heard some incredible ones. You have some very clear ones. The last one that I'm going to play tonight is I'm going to tell you now. Honestly, I always said that there was one that I didn't think anybody could ever beat, but I would say this one is a very close tie to Cintrator Hills.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's very clear.
Oh yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, that one in particular, wasn't that the night that you guys were across the street and I was at the jail? Was that at the museum? The one that I'm holding to? Do you know what one I'm
Oh,
talking about?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you're talking about the one I'm thinking about, then yes.
Okay, I think it is. I think it is because
Yes.
it looked like it was in that facility. So
Okay, then yeah. Yep.
I can tell you now, if it was in that area, I was right across the street that night. There were no
Right.
kids around. There was no
Right.
children. There were no boys. There were no women other than one. And she has a distinct voice. There were no birds flying. There was nothing but two
Yeah.
people in that build. Well, three, I guess, because Billy was there, right?
Yeah, I think yeah. He was there. He was downstairs hanging out.
And I can tell you now, Billy cannot make any sounds other than Billy. He's just Billy.
It's true.
He's just Billy, and he's got a very distinct, very friendly, very warm voice. So
Yeah.
when you hear him, you'll know that this is not him. But we're not going to play that right now.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No. So what I am going to show them though is, so set this up for them. The ball video.
Oh yeah. So that's a crazy one. This is still at the Monroe house. This was one that I saw and I about crap my pants. This is upstairs in a room where they had a bunch of toys. Supposedly there's a little girl up there, all kinds of things. When I walked into this room, I just felt the ick hardcore. And there's a mannequin in the corner that just kind of, I was like, I want to see that thing move tonight. So I set up the camera here, hoping to catch the mannequin moving, but we got something else. And I can tell you that we have tried to debunk this. We can't. There was no AC in this place. There's no floor vents. There's no nothing. We recorded for, I think it was 15 hours of footage in this room. It happens one time, and it's only what you see for these few seconds. Nothing ever happened again, period, in this room. So I don't know. It's strange.
It's very strange. And when Austin sent me this clip, because he sent this to me, did you send it right after you found it? It was.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's been a while back.
Yeah.
Because this is the one that I pulled and I went through frame by frame.
Yeah.
Several times.
Yep.
Like I spent one day off almost
I know.
like the whole day going frame by frame, looking at this thing to see what's going on here.
Oh yeah, it drove me nuts. I sent it to literally if anyone ever said the word paranormal in their lifetime, I was sending it to them and saying, debunk the hell out of this.
Right. So I want you guys. So because I've seen it quite a bit, so I know. But if you were gonna direct them to where to keep looking at, where would you say?
Just around the table, not the mannequin. Just focus around the table. It's pretty obvious. And it'll jump out at you pretty quick.
It gets very obvious very quick. So, guys, just get your observation mentality set for this, because honestly, like I said, when I first saw this, I was like, okay, yeah, there's something I got to be missing.
Yeah, I thought I faked it for a second.
Yeah. Exactly. But check this out. This is crazy. So look around the table, but look toward the back corners of the table. I go through this again because you guys gotta. It's crazy. It happens very quickly. Boom. And there it is again, and then it makes its debut a couple of times. Yeah, yeah, that's why I'm saying, Pam, I knew you would get it real quick because you're really good at observing these things. So here's the thing with this clip, and I'm going to be really honest with you guys. Like, I was like, I know Austin, I know he's not one to do just crazy stuff, like trying to just create things for people to be amused by. He may say things to be amused by, but he doesn't waste his time with stuff like this. So I was looking for everything I could find. And if you notice, I don't know if you can really tell in like on camera here how clear this clip really is. I may actually post this on in the group for people to actually check out if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Because what I want you guys to see, if you join the group and you see this, the Facebook group, the floor is very reflective in here.
Yeah.
It, like in the video, you can clearly tell that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That everything, that's what I kept watching off and on too. I was like, okay, what's the floor reflecting? And I watched it frame by frame over and over and over again, not focusing on the movement of the ball, but focusing on the floor around it. There was nothing weird. There was,
yeah. And when I couldn't find an explanation, I sat down and I was like, okay, so I can't figure out a logical explanation. So let's say I try to fake this. If I were to try to fake this, how would I do it? Then maybe that will get me to some sort of explanation. And I can't even think of how I would try that because it goes one direction, stops, then goes the opposite direction. So I don't know, maybe if you have, I was like, okay, maybe if you had two fans, two sources of air, but I was like, but there's a mannequin right there with its hair. It's not moving. Nothing else is moving. So how would I do that? I really don't know. I don't know how it's possible in a natural sense. I don't know how it could be faked. It hurts my head. It hurts my head.
Right. Well, and I guess that's why this particular piece of film really sticks out to me as far as physical evidence goes, as being something that it, like, again, when you guys see this up close and personal, I mean, if you DM me, I'll try to get you something that you can actually take in and look at frame by frame. If you really want to, just promise me you're not going to do anything creepy or weird with this thing, though. Like hijack Austin's work, because I'll have to like literally hunt you down like a dog. But what I will do, though, is give you guys the opportunity to check it out frame by frame, because honestly, there is, unless you see something I didn't, there is nothing on that floor, anything that makes you think that there was any way this thing could have moved like any other way.
Yeah, and first of all, the stuff that we're showing, it's not even the best of what we have. So believe it or not, there's more that absolutely tops that's going to be in that episode. So I don't want people to think, oh, I'm not going to watch it because we've seen all the evidence. No, you're seeing the bottom tier stuff that just made it into these episodes. But also, like we said, for it to only happen that one time in 15 plus hours really makes you think even more. If it happened 3 or 4 times, I would have thrown it out instantly and thought, okay, something natural. I don't know. Maybe the AC kicked on. Well, I guess there was an AC, so that was an explanation. Shit, now I'm back into this loop to where I can't even come up with a fake explanation. I can confirm there was definitely no AC in there. It sucked.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. If it, like I said though, if it would have happened more times, I would have been more apt to say there's an explanation. But if it just happened once, I don't know.
Exactly. That's the thing of it. It's like it's a big puzzle. Hey, so I want to ask you a couple more questions before we get like way into deep on this video.
Yeah.
So first of all, where do you draw the line between documenting history and exploiting tragedy?
Oh, that is tough. That can be a very delicate balance. The jail, for example, that we went to, there are some tragedies where people had taken their lives there and stuff like that, and their families are still alive and they still live in the area. We don't mention that period whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a delicate balance, but also we don't go in there and if there's a story there that is tragic, we will tell it, but we don't use that tragedy to our advantage, if that makes sense. We're not going in there saying, oh, you killed yourself because you couldn't take life, blah, 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 stuff like that. And we don't, it's the reason why we tell those stories, if we do, is because there is something that could help others. Like, for example, we talked about the asylum earlier, that woman who took her life. About a year later, penicillin came out. She could have gotten rid of, what was ailing her.
Wow.
So I feel like that's important to talk about, because a lot of times in life we feel like there's no out. We've reached our bottom. There's nowhere to go. It's all over. And she just give up. She gave up literally months before she could have been all right. So, tragic stories like that, I feel like, are important to tell, because there is, kind of a moral to the story, something we can take from it, something we can learn from it and apply to our own lives. But, we're not just out there throwing out tragic stories just to be there. There's plenty of tragic things that happen in all these places that we don't even touch.
Right. Exactly. And I think it's very important for people to understand that, like, when you're an investigator and you're going into a place, like, you are not obligated to tell every single detail. If you're trying to document it, if you're trying to do a show on it or whatever, like, so I also have a counseling background, so I'm speaking in kind of that sense too. There is certain information that you may be privy to that does not mean the whole world is privy to it.
Yes.
And for those of you who may be seeing this at some point later and you are thinking about being an investigator, or maybe you're new to investigating, please understand that this is a really important thing to remember, that you may be privy to information when you do interviews, when you talk to the owners of places and so forth, that you, as a content creator or whatever you're doing with the byproduct of your investigation, it's your discretion, but use discernment with what you're doing. Like, is their name important to use in the story? Is their family still around? Like Austin's saying about some of the people at the jail. How is the information that you're handed going to impact people that may still be in existence today? So that's a really important thing to think about. So, okay, knowing you, this is a really funny question, but I gotta ask it.
Okay.
So, if the Dead Chronicles had a warning label, what would it say?
Oh God. We are very much the punk rock version of paranormal investigators. And I think that's because like, I grew up, obsessed with punk rock. But if you take Blink 182 and you give them a paranormal show, that's what you're getting. Absolutely no filter. I mean, we don't cuss or anything like that, but I just don't care, man. Like, I do not care. I will call anyone out. I will, do whatever. There is a location that we went to, and at the end, we say, don't go to this place. It sucks. We will never return. It's terrible. We have locations where we said, hey, this guy, this well-known paranormal investigator, totally made up the story about this location, lied about it, and damaged the reputation of the location and, the community. I don't care. Like, I have no allegiance to anyone or anything. Like, I'm doing this myself. So if I'm going to say what I feel like needs to be said, and there it is. So, that's there's kind of a trigger warning there. I know there's going to be some people who are going to be really pissed off at some of the stuff that we say and do, but look, it is what it is. Like, I'm just here trying to be real, and that's what you're going to get.
Right. Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Dead Chronicles is literally separated from so many other paranormal shows. I almost hate to even lump it in that, because the expectation when you click onto something for the first time is, okay, here we go again. What's he got that somebody else don't have? What's he gonna do? Is he a better actor than the rest of them? All these things come to your head. Like, honestly, in the early weeks of getting to know you, one of the first things that came to my mind was, okay, he's talking a good talk about what he thinks, but does he illustrate this in his work?
Right.
Because we can all talk a good talk to sell ourselves, but how do you present it in your work? And that's one of the things that I've personally find, not because you're a friend, is just, if you were doing crappy work, I'd be like, dude, I love you, but you're so sorry. But the thing of it is, like, that's not the case. And I will tell you guys this much, honestly, when it came to the Dead Chronicles, like, I am not one of those people that, okay, I cried watching Beaches. If you guys know what that movie is, I boo-hooed in the theater watching Beaches. But I am not a crier. I'm not one of those people who just go go around blubbering about every single thing in the world all the time. But I can tell you now, the emotional impact of watching some of even the trailer to the Asylum really hit home for me in a lot of ways. And I even expressed that to you by talking about the Roses for the Dead song.
Right.
Which was very interesting that all that brought up. But the thing is bottom line is, if nothing else, if you can't find anything else that separates the Dead Chronicles from, just another jump scare event, the emotional impact from the work that they do, because they do invest so much into the story and into making you understand that these were people. These are people. And that is the thing that really makes it stand out. Now, do they have extremely good evidence? Yes. Like I said, this stuff that we're showing you tonight is stuff that Austin was nice enough to allow us to see, because it's not showing up in his work, and he's not going to give away his stuff, because he's put a lot of work into this. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's the show is raw, I think, is the best way to put it. Like you said, it's the raw emotion. So, if I'm pissed off for whatever reason, like I said, a couple episodes, I get pissed off at locations, at people, whatever, I'm going to let it be shown. But at the same time, at the same time, there's that very emotional time. You might see me break out in tears. I don't know. Like it's raw. It's real. Like it is what it is. You know. I don't want to put on an act. I'm not this big tough guy. I've peed myself a little bit in some of these episodes. You know.
You know, you guys did not have the camera rolling when we went upstairs at the jail, did you? The first time. No. Oh, good.
Yeah.
I would hope you would tell me if you did.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, honestly, and I'm kind of so being an empath and having other, I guess you could call them gifts if you really want to, can put you in really awkward positions sometimes. And we went upstairs in this building. I'd never been there before. I don't even think I've been to Franklin, Kentucky before this. Hopkinsville, yeah, I've been there a couple of times, but not Franklin.
And it's a whole different world.
We went upstairs, and Austin had warned me ahead of time that there was stuff in the building that you'll never see anywhere else. You know, the chance of seeing is anywhere else is going to be really astrological. So we got up there, and I got to this one room, and I literally just lost it. I was literally could not
do anything.
Yeah. Like I can't even, like, he was trying to talk to me. I couldn't even respond.
Yeah.
And it was like that's one of the reasons why I want to go back to this building, because I'm telling you that the old stone prison there's something crazy about that.
Oh yeah.
So I've been kind of building all night on getting you guys to trudge through some of our insanity in between some really great conversation. But I'm going to show you guys this clip I've been promising. And if you will, please, after you see the clip, don't bail on us, because I want Austin to talk about this for a couple of minutes as we're closing out the night. But this clip is probably, I was actually surprised he was going to let me use this clip tonight, because this is a thing. This is a thing. I don't know what to think about this.
Right.
Okay. What was going on?
I don't know. So that is at the museum. That is on the second floor. That is where, so the museum was multiple things. It was a shirt factory. It was also like a showroom / auto mechanic shop. They had like Model Ts, Model As, stuff like that. So in that room, they had the lift, the elevator where they would bring cars up. And it sounds like a little boy. Now it's really interesting, because this is, again, one of those things when you get home, you're reviewing stuff and things tied together. I also have a very clear one that I think I sent you a while back of a woman almost saying something like, "Honey, I'm home," or something like that. And now we have kind of this family dynamic going on there. But Billy told me that there was a family there, and I believe it was the Crow family. Because I believe they have the Hunter family who is on the first floor, and the Hunter family is there for some reason. they told them where they were from in Tennessee. They don't know why they're in Kentucky, if they're tied to an object there or whatever. And the second floor was supposedly the Crow family. And Billy told me, he said, Mrs. Crow's up there and she loves to show you pictures of her family and her kids. So if you talk to her, she might guide you towards those photos. So, dude, Franklin's a weird place. I don't know why it seems like we have two different families inside this museum that they obviously never lived in. And it almost seems like it's their home. Like the Hunter family, for example, Billy said they go to sleep at a certain time because they say they have to get up in the morning and work in the fields.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're thousands of miles, well, not thousands, but hundreds of miles away from the fields that they worked in. But yet they still think that they're living in their home. So are we looking at the same thing with this Crow family on the second floor? Is that her child? It's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the question. Is like, where is... And now that you said Crow family, I really want to go back to that area. Because the significance of crows keeps coming up a lot in my world. So that's kind of interesting that they're the Crow family. I don't think I've actually ever heard you reference them, or if I did, I didn't pay attention to it. There's a lot of a
lot of stuff you don't pay attention to. All right,
no, it's not that. Like I mean, you've been around me for a weekend now, so
right.
Like if it's like there's stuff going on all over the place, I'm trying to hone in on stuff everywhere.
Yep.
So it kind of like, I think one of the reasons why it was getting interesting with the cologne smell at the prison is because it was distracting me, because it was very strong. And I still want to, we got to go back there because I got to get data about that. I want to see what's happening when that happens. Dislocated for some reason. You know what? Pam just asked what if both families were dislocated for some reason? And that was maybe, I could see, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible and anything's plausible. Like the jail we're talking about, once again, Civil War. So who knows? Maybe they were running from the fighting. Maybe they were avoiding being enlisted. I mean, it could be a number of things, especially in that area.
Right. Well, it could even be tied to the thing that we were talking about, too.
Right.
We don't know yet. We don't know. That's the thing of it. And so I will tell you guys this. I feel like there's going to be further exploration at the one place in Franklin for sure. And if and when we can do that, which hopefully we can, because Austin, you've got an incredible lineup of activity constantly. So this is just one more thing on your plate, I know. But it would be interesting to go back and do some serious, and even maybe do a documentary there at some point.
Right.
Just because something about that just ain't right.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Right. You know what? I love that we got a chance to do this tonight, because I've had you on a few times. We have not deep dived into your show before like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, so do you have an ETA yet on when we might hear public announcements about the big season?
I can publicly announce that I don't know.
Right.
This is a whole new process I'm going through now that I've never done before, the distribution wise. So I don't know how long it's going to take. I can tell you that I'm hoping next couple weeks I'll be done editing the entire season. And then after that, I don't know. Because like I said, it's a whole new process. So I will keep people updated as soon as I know. Everyone else will know. And, try to keep people informed on what's going on.
Absolutely. Because first of all, not only are we pulling for you, but I'm sure there are several of us now that are very interested in wanting to see these episodes, because I know one or two of them in particular that you've kind of talked about with me off and on. I'm really want to see. So, yeah. So usually I always end the show by asking the same question to my guest. What is one piece of what soundbite that you would like to leave with us tonight to really impact our world with, I guess?
Oh man, that's a loaded question there. It's pretty heavy. I guess I'll go back to, like I said, Kentucky, and looking at people like Dr. Polk. We talked earlier about how he took in the Confederates and stuff like that, but he became a preacher because as a child he was forced to go to church because he played with an undesirable child, meaning a child of color. So he got forced to go to church, and then he ended up totally turning on him, becoming a preacher, and started like an abolitionist newspaper and all this other stuff. Was a huge abolitionist. So I say all that to say that, when you do what's right, even if you get hit by something that seems bad, it all spins out in your favor in the end. He was doing what was right by treating this child like a child, which it was. And although the culture at the time said that's not, they're subhuman, don't talk to them, don't play with them, so you're going to be punished. His punishment was really a huge blessing. And it really spun around to where then, in the end, they were relying on him because he then became a doctor. So it's kind of funny how, by doing the right thing, he was chastised, criticized, and they wanted to punish him. But really, it helped him out. And in the end, they were begging him for help. So.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
It's pretty powerful stuff.
I gotta tell you, dude, I mean, your whole outlook on things, how you go about investigating and so forth, is powerful.
Thank you.
The journey of being a friend of yours is a powerful experience because you're constantly.
Is it a magical one?
It is, because you are constantly, like in the path of magic, you are constantly almost forcing me to grow as I go along, because to understand more about how to relate to you as a friend, I have to understand how to make myself more of a friend. And to do that, is ultimately to open yourself up to the ethics of what you're doing in your journey with the show, because you're digging to become a better person and to treat those journeys, those lifetimes that have gone before us with the respect and love that they deserve. So it's a challenge that I am grateful to take on.
I appreciate that. I think that's the biggest thing that encompasses the show, is I'm constantly challenging the people watching. And I'll take, for example, just real quick, the shrine, the Gira Shrine. That is a place where everyone goes to practice a religion. You know, you've got Satanists, you've got necromancers, you have voodoo, you have hoodoo, you have Christians, all these people who go to this place and practice together in their own separate ways, but at the same time, their religion. And that's like I close that play or that episode out asking the question of, you know, we have all these people of all these different religions that, you know, many people would say you're going to hell, you're this, you're that. And they're all practicing together. So what can we learn from that? Whether or not you agree with them, what can we take away from that and apply to our own lives? You know? Mm-hmm. So I like the idea of challenging everyone to grow, to see these stories in a different light, not necessarily a judgmental aspect, but for what it is. And let's take it, let's apply it to ourselves so that we can all hopefully become better people.
100%. 100%. All right. I'm going to go on and close this out for the night. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure as always.
If you've got a moment, hang out in the back for a minute and I'll get back with you.
All right.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Wow. That is my friend Austin. I gotta tell you, it is going to be a very, very emotionally challenging moment to wait for this show to come out now, because this season promises to be something that for me, I know, because I've kind of lived with him through this in a way. He and Lydia is something that I can't wait. I really can't wait. This is going to be big. I promise you guys. I do want to encourage you guys to, you know, have a safe and very prosperous holiday season. Safe, definitely. Remember, there are other people on the road out there who are also having challenging times right now. And you know what? As always, may your journey always be magical.
I've waited for so long to see when you come back to me. Through the wars and battles that were lost, we're born again, it's you and me. The rest is history. Past lives. Past lives. Did we dance together on different floors in 1500 or 1504? We must have been lovers, we must have been something in our